Special call work session Monday, September 26th to order. Invocation given by Mr. Kenmore and pledge allegiance given by Gary Stewart.
Almighty God, we give you thanks and praise for your great goodness towards us. We ask you to be with the mayor and council of the city of Scottsboro as they go about the public business this evening. Lead, guide, and direct them in all that they do. These things we ask in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to add one more item to the work session. It's the zoning board appointment. The item number 5. Go to item number 1, explain the new health care benefits package. Mr. Scott Head.
Good evening. My name is Scott Head. I've had the privilege of working with the city of Scottsboro for the last 8 years from a consultative capacity with respect to the health insurance. I spent many years with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and the city engaged me many years ago to help try to negotiate and mitigate future increases. We've been successful in accomplishing that. As we all know, we've read the paper, or we've heard, or we've seen that ACA, the Affordable Care Act, has caused a lot of disruption in the healthcare marketplace. Number 1, you're seeing rates go up significantly more than was anticipated. Blue Cross Blue Shield this year, in fact, announced the other day that rates would be going up anywhere from 23 to 41%, depending on the type of plan you have. What's driving a lot of that is mandated benefits. And so last year, when the renewal came around, the city was getting a significant increase. And the question was posed, what do we do? What kind of strategy can we adopt to put us in a more favorable position? And so the marketplace is currently continuing to churn on finding out what that answer is. But the answer that we've come up with was to develop a model that said we have 2 different programs. We have Blue Cross and Blue Shield as an underlying program, and we have a secondary, not gap coverage, but a secondary plan to augment the primary plan with the attempt to bring everything back full circle to the plan you had prior. Now, that said, there were some benefit differences. We made some additions and enhancements to the program, and in certain areas there were deficiencies. And what I mean by deficiencies is it worked differently. Blue Cross and Blue Shield is set up to be a co-paid structured program, whereby you pay a co-pay up front, then everything is paid for 100% and you walk away. The way the marketplace being defined by what the country looks like. Anywhere outside the state of Alabama, they were already doing what we call the old indemnity style plan. I.e. $200, $500, $1,000 deductible in an 80-20 scenario. So we moved in that direction last year in order to, 1, mitigate the increase, secondly, get to the place where the marketplace was headed. From that point, that brought about a meeting we had with Patrick, Aaron, and Tony, and several other employees with respect to some of the concerns, what had taken place, what we could do to improve. And what fed out of that meeting was, number 1, there was a tremendous concern on the employees' behalf, therefore the council's behalf. The co-insurance issue was not being received very well. There was a lot of confusion. We had never worked from that premise. And so was there a way we could get around that? And the council was adamant about trying to find that way. So I went back to Blue Cross and Blue Shield, requested a different program that was not offered the year prior. Secondly, took that program, went to the secondary coverage, convinced their underwriters in New York to put together a package that would again bring a co-pay structure back into play instead of a co-insurance structure, and to keep the benefit level equal or better. And what we were able to accomplish is, you folks were getting approximately a 5% increase. And by the way, let's go back quickly to why we wanted to do this in the first place. We started out at an 18% approximately increase last year. We were able to mitigate that down to the single digits and keep the employee's level of benefit at a very high level. And what came back was the secondary insurance had no increase, and the Blue Cross was only a 5% increase. So the handling with two different programs, assuming two different risk models, worked for you. And in doing that, that's why the insurance companies were willing to take the risk for less pricing than if only one company was taking the risk. So the net effect, Blue Cross gave you a 5%, the secondary coverage gave you a 0%. After negotiations with the secondary coverage, we were able to actually get you an increase, get your benefit package with a 1.2% increase. And so considering the marketplace is anywhere from 12 to 15% right now with group carriers in the North Alabama area, for you folks to be looking at a 1.5% increase tells me the strategy that we have is working and appropriate going forward. Moreover, the co-insurance that was causing confusion last year, that has now been done away with. So if one being the employee, were to take a look at the benefit package you had in 2014, and now mirror that against the benefit package you will have beginning October 1st, 2016, you will see that the copay structure is identical to what you had prior. Okay? With one exception, we used to have a $200 copay with diagnostic lab, etc. Now you only have a $100 copay. You have approximately a $5,400 out-of-pocket expense, and now we've got that down to approximately, I think it was $1,000. I don't have the brochure in front of me, but overall, for the employee, it's a much better benefit. You're back to the copay structure. It's eliminated the confusion. The physicians now that the folks have been utilizing, they're accustomed to EBS, they're accustomed to the filing process, and so I believe we were able to accomplish what you folks asked me to do, and hence, that's why I'm here tonight to talk about it. And if there are any questions, I'll be glad to entertain those.
Any questions?
Scott, just to emphasize, you won't have an 80-20 split any longer.
That is correct.
Right, so there is a fixed copay.
That's right. You go in, the employee, they can pull up the Blue Cross benefit, they can pull up the EBS benefit and see what the two plans pay. That's what they would be charged. You know, that might well the copay, and then they walk out. No co-insurance, no balance bill.
Any other questions? I just want to thank you for listening to the employees. We had Ann Cornelison, Georgina Risendine, and John Lee. Not leaving anyone else out. But they had several concerns.
Well, I do want to say that, you know, that my hat's off to you folks for bringing that to our attention, because we did go back to the secondary coverage. This is something that, this is the first one they have done. So this is more or less like, when I say that, a pilot project for them to go away from the co-insurance, because the more cost sharing that's involved, the less the rate increases typically are. The more upfront dollars you cover, the higher the rate increases typically are. And so the secondary coverage had reservations about it, but they listened to you, they value your relationship, I value your business, and so we were able to accomplish what I believe is something that the marketplace is not seeing right now, which again, same level of benefits with a 1.2% increase. I thank you.
Thank you. That's excellent news. And I'd also like to point out that the committee actually got formed. It was Brent Miller's idea. We were talking about health hazards one day. He suggested that we form a committee, so I want to thank you for that. I'm glad that we were able to help the city employees with that. It's great news. Go to item number 2, discuss Veterans Field capital improvement project. Christine.
Thank you. Last week you were presented at your work session a scope of work that we had worked with our total architect engineer team and the representatives from the city to identify areas where we could take cost out of the project, also divide the project into owner-provided items and owner-provided work that basically would not have a markup from the general contractor, and then the things that KPS would be including in the project. So you saw that last week. What we're here tonight is to present that again and to get approval to move forward on the scope. We understand that we're still working on the budget numbers. I've asked Mayor Potter to include in your packets a schedule because I knew that that would be important. So with following this work session with your approval of that revised scope that you had, we would begin the soils testing. We just need one more boring at the building footprint that could tell us the soil capacity for a two-story structure. And then Jim Olenese and I had discussed there were some items that he wanted to get some of those revisions so that he could begin doing the pricing on his side. I think he's pretty well set up at this point. He's been able to gather several of those items. There's still a few things that we'll get to him no later than next week on Tuesday so that he can continue to look at the pricing from the city side. We'd like to propose that we have a pricing review meeting with the committee Friday the 7th, and that would be prior to us presenting the revised budget on that Monday night on the 10th. So we would then be presenting that revised budget to you all on the 10th. Following that, based on how that's received, and hopefully it's well received and we've done our work, we need to start advertising for competitive bids. We've got to cover 3 full weeks, and we do that by a Saturday of 1 week, Sunday of the following week, and Sunday of the following week. So that's those dates, the 15th, 16th, and 23rd of October. That doesn't commit you to anything at that point. That's really just out there as a public announcement that we're going to be issuing for bids. We'll then come back on Monday the 24th and make a presentation to you of the final drawings with a request for approval to issue those for competitive bids. I haven't listed other committee meetings in there, but we will surely have other committee meetings before we come back to you for that. Contingent on the approval of that, we'd like to issue those drawings the following day on Tuesday the 25th and give them 3 full weeks for bids. So we would then have a public opening for bids on the 15th of November, followed by a presentation for approval of the successful low bidder on your council meeting on the 21st, and then anticipating a notice to proceed on the 5th of December. It'll take a couple weeks to do construction contracts and things of that nature to get that started. We estimate it's 8 months. It could be 6 months. We will be asking the bidders to actually bid the time. We don't want to dictate something to them because that many times that drives the cost up. But you will be able to evaluate the bids based on price and days. So we'll set that up so that you can do that. So that is approximately an August of 2017 completion date. Did anybody have any questions on the scope itself or anything on the schedule?
Anyone have any questions for Christine?
Christine, you're asking the council to place on tonight's meeting agenda the approval of the revised scope
That's correct.
and to adopt the schedule.
And to adopt the schedule, yes, sir.
Does anyone have any questions? Why that to tonight's agenda? Thank you. Go to item number 3, discuss new sanitation trucks. Mr. Lawson.
Yes, at the direction of the council president, I have been doing some research on sanitation trucks. I've given you some documentation there and provided you with an overview on the front page. Our sanitation department has an annual revenue of approximately $3.1 million. With that revenue comes a public expectation of on-time service. And last year, our vehicle repair and maintenance for a total department was approximately $182,000. was pointed out that approximately 45% of that is in 2 trucks. Those are both residential trucks. In conversations with Mr. Blizzard and other people, those trucks have about an 8-year useful life to them. Each of those trucks, one is an 07, one is an 08. Those 2 trucks combined were a repair cost of $81,677, or like I say, about 45% of your annual maintenance cost. We have gotten budgetary pricing on replacing not only those 2 trucks, but you also have a front loader truck that is a model year 2000. So that truck is approximately 16 years old. Last year that truck cost you approximately $14,000 in repair and maintenance costs. Now those costs are fixed costs. Those do not include the cost in man hours of productivity when that equipment is down. So you can see there that I've given you budgetary numbers on 3 new Mack trucks, 2 residential side loader automated arms, 1 front loader. Researching options to procure these vehicles, we looked at a purchase, we looked at a 5-year finance program, and then also asked for some numbers for an operating lease on this equipment. We asked the provider to give us a guaranteed 5-year buyback on this equipment, and you can see those numbers listed there. At 5 years, which this equipment comes with a 5-year warranty. At end of warranty, the supplier would buy those 3 trucks back for a sum of approximately $217,000. So I checked and got some budgetary municipal lease numbers, and there is an amortization in your packet. A 5-year municipal lease on those 3 trucks, which total approximately $691,000, using the budgetary rate, with a balloon payment at the end of $217,000, you're looking at approximately $8,936 per month, or $107,000 per year on those three trucks. At the end of that lease, you would basically have 3 options, and one would be to pay the balloon payment and keep the equipment. The other would be to surplus the equipment, put it on open market with a reserve bid of what the balloon payment would be, and we would surplus the trucks and pay off the balloon. And the third or worst case option would be that we would let the trucks go back to the supplier, and they would pay the balloon payment. So you have a safety net on the equipment. You know at the end of the 5-year period it's going to be worth a minimum of this dollar amount. So I'll take any questions that you may have.
Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question. You're talking about 3 vehicles,
Yes.
and these are all vertical, correct?
It's 2 residential garbage trucks and 1 container truck. Is that correct? There's 1 front loader truck.
I went through the records and got all of the vehicles that they have. And from that same department, we have a number of vehicles that are as bad or worse that work every day out here. And then Mr. Blizzard's over the solid department and the street department. And in the street department, we have the same situation. And at some point, we're gonna have to take care of some of those vehicles as well. I know we can't do them all, but
And I was asked to research a starting point. So looked at it as a 7-year plan to start a rotation of equipment.
That starting point, would the ending point be at the end of that time before we go? Because these other trucks won't last that long. So are we talking about next year doing another starting point and another, till we get some of these taken care of? That's what concerns me. We have a number of vehicles that are in very bad shape across the board on both departments. And each one of those different types of trucks bring in revenue, but at some point, they're gonna lay down, and you've gotta do something with those, I think.
This is a starting point, though. We have a starting point.
Mr. Blizzard, how many residential trucks do we have in operation?
Well, we run 3 on daily rounds.
So this plan would replace 2/3 of your residential fleet.
It will never give us a backup also, in case we have one that's down for maintenance or the older one that's down for another reason. It gives us a backup. Right now, we don't have a backup. The one we had burned in February.
And the front loader truck, like I said, that is a 2000 model year, is that correct?
Yes.
So that was 16 years old. You know, looking at this, what I took is those are our highest risk. That if those go down, we won't be able to maintain that expectation of on-time service. So I think at this point, it's like eating an elephant. We got to do it one bite at a time, and I think this is a good place for us to start.
Any other discussions or comments? I think the plan when we started looking into this, Tony, was either 2 or 3 years, and I think Eddie, when we had this discussion, was coming in and purchasing another 2 vehicles down the road, another 2 years, so that Mr. Smith, eventually you get that whole fleet replaced, so that Eddie actually has all of his trucks on a 5 or 3 year lease payment plan, so that we know that we're getting reliable trucks every 5 years. I think that would, as far as to answer the other question that you had, as far as the other departments, the other trucks, I think that would be the council's responsibility to come up with some type of vehicle replacement account or fund to purchase the funding of the replacement of the other trucks within the other departments.
If you do 2 trucks in 2 years, when you're doing 3 here, it's 5, there's 12 or so on the list that I have of the major trucks in the department. So you're looking at 2 years or 5 years or whatever you're gonna replace them. You're looking at another 15 years of getting the rest of them, which they won't last that long. I'm
I
just
think
saying
it's a
they
better
didn't.
solution than where we are right now.
Excuse me,
About
that
the
they,
fall apart.
excuse me, that they have been neglected way too long.
I agree.
It's time we all started paying more attention, because we may build $1 million ballpark or 2, but what good is it if you got garbage piled up on both sides of the gates going in?
It's no good. That's why this is the solution. Thank you, Tony.
Yes.
Getting all this together and Brent working on it. Thank you. I'm sure we'll discuss this at our budget meeting, which I'll mention that in the reports of when we'll have our budget meeting. Next item is the Bicentennial Resolution. Brent, you talk about that. Back, I guess, in May, I think it was, several of us attended a conference, the Alabama League of Municipalities in Huntsville. And one of the things that we were presented with is the Alabama 200-year bicentennial is coming up in 2019. But between 2017 and 2019, there's actually 2 years of celebration leading up to that point. And so the Alabama League of Municipalities is asking cities across the state to adopt a resolution in support of the bicentennial year. And I know Ms. Chambliss, I believe she's here. She was appointed to the state committee, is that correct? Okay. So she serves on the state committee, and so I didn't think it would be appropriate for us to have someone on the state committee that when Scottsboro wasn't actually a participant of this bicentennial year. So there's a copy of a resolution this is one drafted from the Alabama League of Municipalities that is in your packet, that if the council chooses to do so, then we will be able to participate in that, which helps bring a little bit of money. There's different grant opportunities that will be available. Once the city passes a resolution to adopt this resolution, then you're actually able to apply for certain grant money, whether you host an event, whether you do an art project, whether you do a renovation project, anything to gear up to this 200-year bicentennial. And that money can come, there's several different sources that it would come from through the state. But I just thought that would be a good idea for the council to adopt this resolution to support this bicentennial year. Then that way we can lead up to some type of festivity or event or a project within the city.
Ms. Chambliss, not every county is represented, is there? Like your part is three counties, correct?
Right. The information that I gave you tonight, I will be taking to Guntersville and Fort Payne, because DeKalb and Marshall County do not have their own representative. And when I've been to 4 meetings already, one in Mobile, 2 in Huntsville, and 1 in Montgomery, and have learned other areas already have great plans, especially Huntsville. And Scottsboro would need to work very closely with Huntsville.
And actually also part of the step, not only the resolution, but the city would, I guess the council would have to form a committee, which would be the Bicentennial Committee, that would network with the state committee and the committees in the other cities that have these to, I guess, get the ideas, generate the ideas, and apply for the different revenue sources.
If it does pass, we could do that, form a committee, when you swear in, have our organization.
Yes, sir. Ms. Chambliss, this would also be the bicentennial of Jackson County coming up also.
I will also go to Stevenson and Bridgeport and Bryan, Alabama, and Dutton, Alabama, and encourage their local officers to establish their own bicentennial committees.
I believe Jackson County became a county either the day before or the day after Alabama became a state. Thank you.
It's an honor having you on that commission, I'll say that.
Thank you. It's an honor to serve.
Anything else on that? How long will it take to?
This resolution is, I reviewed it, it's in order. All you need to do is fill in the blanks.
So the next council meeting.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Chambliss. Next item number 5 is the zoning board appointment. We had another applicant put their name in. To whom it may concern, I'm Roger Wigeon. I would like to submit my name for the zoning board. My wife Diane and I live in Scottsboro. I'm a retired maintenance supervisor from BPG Industries, Huntsville, Alabama. I'm interested in this position, would like to be considered. If you have any questions, you may have to comment on the call. So he submitted his name, we'll put that on tonight's agenda. It'll be item number 9. We'll go to the council meeting. Give us about 2 minutes